Ricciardo is one of the most loved drivers in recent memory for a lot of fans, so everyone was disappointed to see that he was without a seat for 2023. He did, however, get a third driver role at Red Bull, which was something that he could do in his spare time, and it still keeps him in and around the sport whilst he is taking this year off. Not many people see where he could get back into the sport for 2024 due to most teams having drivers in long-term contracts, but there will be some opportunities for him to get back into the sport. Very recently, news has broken that Daniel Ricciardo could be in Formula 1 in just a few races' time if AlphaTauri driver Nyck De Vries does not improve his performances in the near future. This has come to the surprise of many, as this may only be for the rest of the season, or it could be a long-term thing and he could stay until the end of the 2024 season if Perez does leave the team, and he could then join Red Bull. In today's video, we will discuss how this is good, but also a bad move for Daniel. Is this kind of unfair to De Vries, or is it warranted? And finally, how Daniel still has a lot to offer to many teams in the paddock. Let's get right into it. To start off with, we are going to talk about how this move is very good for Daniel in his aim to get back to the front of the grid. AlphaTauri at this moment in time are in the midfield and are fighting for the points in most races, so Daniel hasn't got the worst car on the grid and he can get back into his groove. Before Daniel left Renault for McLaren, he was considered one of the best drivers on the grid, and that talent has not just all disappeared, and Christian Horner has spoken a lot about this. As AlphaTauri are the sister team to Red Bull, they have very close ties, and this will be very good for Daniel, and if he does perform to a high standard in an AlphaTauri, he could find his way back to Red Bull. Another reason in why this could be a good move for Ricciardo is that he does not have all the spotlights at a top team, and he could go there and just perform consistently and get his confidence back. If Daniel is able to find that performance and confidence that he had a few years ago, he could easily get back into a top team, and if it's not Red Bull, he could get an Aston Martin, for example. Overall, this move would be good for Daniel to get back into the swing of things, but it all depends on how De Vries performs over the next few races or so. However, there are some drawbacks for Daniel, and one of these is that it could be a potential mistake, as he could go in there and not perform. If he goes to AlphaTauri and has Tsunoda do better than him, many people say that his career is over and he will not get back into Red Bull. Also, Daniel wanted to take this year off to get himself some more confidence and to also have a break, as he has been in the sport for over a decade, and he said himself that he was burnt out. So, if Daniel was going to get back into the sport after a dozen or so races break, it could be a massive mistake, and he could go back to his McLaren form, which was not good at all to say the least. Furthermore, for Daniel, is AlphaTauri the place he wants to get back into the sport, as they do not have a car where he can really show his exact talent. By getting a couple of points here and there, will that really impress other top teams who Daniel wants to sign for? Not really, so maybe his best bet is to wait for a better opportunity to come up in the near future. I guess we'll have to find out. Do you think that it would be a good or bad move to go to AlphaTauri midway through the season? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Our next topic is how replacing De Vries this early into his Formula 1 career could be kind of unfair to him. De Vries got his first run in Formula 1 in Monza last season in 2022, and he impressed everyone by jumping into the car hours before qualifying and getting points in his first race. Many people called for him to be signed by Williams, but he signed for AlphaTauri instead, which was a good decision that many people thought. However, so far in 2023, he has made several mistakes and isn't really performing compared to his teammate, and he has been given an ultimatum. It has come out that if De Vries does not improve his performances in the next few races, he will be axed and will be replaced by Daniel Ricciardo, who has been rumoured to have had his seat filled recently, which says a lot. But the question is is it really fair for him to be kicked out of AlphaTauri so early into his Formula 1 career? Even though Nyck is 28, this season is his rookie season in the sport, so he has to be kind of treated like a rookie who will make mistakes. Yes, he is a lot older than most rookies, but he probably should be given until at least the end of the season to see if he's able to get up to speed with being in Formula 1. De Vries has talent, as he is a Formula 2 champion and a Formula E champion, so he knows how to perform, and he will more than likely come good as the season goes on. But you never know, he might come into these new few races as a different driver and could blow Yuki Tsunoda away, and he could keep his seat at the team. But we will have to wait and find out. Do you think that it's unfair for De Vries to have a seat at risk so early in his Formula 1 career? Or is it fair due to how poor he has been so far? Let us know in the comments below. Our final topic is around how Daniel Ricciardo still has a lot to offer to a lot of the teams in the paddock. Daniel had a very bad time at McLaren for 2 years in 2021 and 2022, where he just did not perform to the standards that everyone had set for Daniel due to previous years. His time in Red Bull was great, and he showed how good he was, and a lot of the time was quicker than that of Max Verstappen in equal machinery. In his second and final year at Renault in 2020, he was seen as one of the best drivers on the grid due to how much performance he was able to get out of a midfield car. So Daniel has a lot of talent, but also a lot of experience that he can give to a smaller team who are looking to build up and fight at the top of the grid. If he is able to find that performance that he had in years before he joined McLaren, he would be a top driver and could lead a team like Fernando Alonso is doing at Aston Martin this season. However, the only issue is that Ricciardo is coming to the end of his career and will ask for a pretty big contract, and the smaller teams just can't afford it. He could have been a Haas driver for 2023, but his salary would be an issue for them, and this is why he did not sign for them. Daniel, if he is able to get back to his very best, could start a midfield team and show how quick he is, and then possibly get into a big team like Red Bull in the future. A lot of fans are calling for Daniel to replace Perez, but does he still have the pace to be in the best team and the best car? It's a very hard call, but if in 2023 he can get back into his groove and prove himself, he could be back in a Red Bull soon. Overall, Daniel Ricciardo could be back in the sport sooner than us, and he probably thought, but we will have to wait and see if he can get back to his pace of the past, or if he will return with the pace he had in McLaren. It all depends on if De Vries can improve his performance in the coming races. We don't actually have long to find out. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more videos just like this one.